Hey guys, it's Brick Thunder, and today we're going to be doing a prop comparison of the Tumbling Clown versus the Haunted Ferris Wheel clowns. Alright, so if you're new to this series, what I do is I take two similar props and compare them. They may be reskins, they may be remakes, or they're just similar like these two. Similar characters here for these two. But I was actually going to do the first comparison with three different props, but the final one, which is the Clown Go Round, which is another one I have, that one actually has three broken welds. I would say that is easily the worst quality out of all these doll props. So sadly, I'm not able to compare that one here, although I do know that would be the worst out of the three in my opinion. But here are the other two, Tumbling Clown versus the Haunted Ferris Wheel. We're going to go through all of our separate categories, and then at the end of the video, we're going to demo both individually and then at the same time. And one thing before we get into those categories, I wanted to mention price. This guy, Tumbling Clown, I only paid $30 for, although usually his price is $200 to $210. $30 was just a rare occurrence on the Walmart site, probably a glitch on their part, but me and a few others actually were able to get that for $30. But like I said, $200 to $210 normally, and this one you'll usually find for about $300 to $350. Alright, so our first category is detail. I think it's pretty obvious who wins the detail category. Although Tumbling Clown looks really good, he's much smaller. He only is the one clown, and there is so much detail going on in this Ferris wheel. I actually do think that $300 to $350 is very fair for what you're getting here. Although it's not the greatest quality, none of these doll props are. It's still incredibly detailed, and the amount of motion that just goes on here when it starts moving is amazing. Moves like a real Ferris wheel, and it's very, very large. You can tell compared to the Tumbling Clown, who's about 3 feet. This is a full 6-foot Ferris wheel when at the top. I'll just circle this one around a bit. Right there, that's about 6 feet. So I would say this one definitely wins for that category, especially because of all the different clowns, especially because all those different clowns have different faces. But also just all those different cars of the Ferris wheel look amazing. Also, the star gives that metal just a better overall look. All right, our next category is similarities. So our main one, obviously being the clown, looks the exact same. I actually have both of those down there. Those two are the exact same clown. Now, other than that, I do really like, this would go for all of these smaller clown doll props. They actually paint all of the exposed metal and the control box red. That dark maroon reddish color. I love that. I think it fits so much better than just if it was all the black aluminum. I think this really blends in, makes it seem like a full fairground ride or a full carnival scene over here more. But I definitely am happy they did that. But other than that, yeah, similarities, mainly just the clothing and facial features of the clown itself. All right, so our next category is differences, with the main two being size and price. This one is obviously much bigger, and it is also more expensive. Tumbling Clown is always cheaper unless you get this one used, but just retail value, this one is always cheaper, and it is about half the size. But other than that, some differences with the clown. He has legs. The rest of them don't. They don't have any legs in there. They're just half bodies. As you can see, it just ends right there. And they also don't have arms. You can't pose them up on the cars or anything because they just aren't there. It's just the sleeves of the shirt. I am glad they still included the sleeves because they look a lot more natural that way. But other than that, the differences are basically just what it does. Now, with all of these, they actually have basically the same exact mechanism doing three different things. And these two are more similar than the Clown Go Round, but with these two, they just spin the thing up and around, while the Clown Go Round spins it sideways. Now, both of them have a very unique motion because of that. So the Tumbling Clown, he goes over, rolls over, and then those feet hit the bar, making him do a somersault type flip. And then with these, it's just a constant turning. And I believe they actually do have a constant mode, which is nice. With Tumbling Clown, he technically has one, but I don't believe mine works. And I've heard that from a lot of people. So I'll have to test that. It might just need a warm up or something, but I haven't been able to get that to work. Okay, so now we're going to go through the pros and cons of each before going through the pros and cons of both together. Starting over here, we got Tumbling Clown. He is, as I mentioned, cheaper and he is smaller. Now, smaller can definitely be a pro. If you don't want to deal with too much storage room, this is something you can easily put in the corner or stuff it back in the box. The box is also smaller than the Ferris wheel. Although, I will say the Ferris wheel box is a lot smaller than you may think. It's pretty impressive how compact they can get down in that box. Another pro about this guy is I love how much work they put into that body. This thing is so much better designed than any of the other clown dolls. He has a full metal frame in there, full metal legs, very nice welding overall, it seems, compared to the other ones. And also, I do like that he has the full body, although these don't really need it. I would definitely appreciate if those had some better quality, especially on the clown go round. These ones, you really won't see break because they're kind of just static in there. But I'm definitely glad they improved it on this guy. Definitely the best quality I've seen on the actual character. Another pro about this is you can be pretty creative with it. For example, what I'm doing with it is I'm actually not using the base how it's supposed to. I'm going to flip that and mount this thing on the ceiling of my haunt. I think that's just one of the ways you could be clever with something like this. With the Ferris wheel, that kind of has to be grounded, but something like this, just flipping, could basically go anywhere. So I'm going to be mounting it on the ceiling. I think that'll be really cool. Flipping above gets heads, but that's just a thing you can do if you want. Now, a main con about this, even though it's cheaper, I would say is the price. For 200 to 210, unless you got it through Walmart, one of those rare days, 210 is a lot for this. I don't see the value at all through it. I think there's a lot of life-size animatronics you can get for around that price, and that is very, very expensive for something this small, especially with just the one motion, no lights. But I do think overall it looks really good, and if you can get it for sale or through a reseller who did get it through the Walmart site for $30, a lot of times you can find this cheaper. And if you can find it cheaper, I would say it's worth it, but for 200 to 210, I would not. All right, so pros and cons of the Ferris wheel, with the main pro just being that it is a Ferris wheel. I think there's not enough full-on ride props. There's the clown go round, which is basically just a swing set. This one is a full fairground ride. I love that. It could totally be used as a centerpiece to a circus section, and I think it just looks so cool. I also love how they designed these. These fold down into a box and take up hardly any storage room. They are very similar to folding a cardboard box, although it's made out of like the outdoor stakeable lawn signs material. So it's more of a plasticky and not cardboard. These do hold up in rain pretty well. I had these out for a whole day of rain and they are perfectly fine. Now, you would want to cover the mechanics. That's what I did, but that's just to be safe. Everything here seems to be great, even in water. The only thing is a bit of sun damage right there, but that'll happen with anything. So overall, their quality for those, I definitely like. One thing that could be thought of as a con is their setup. It's a very tedious setup. There's a lot of steps. And I do find setups fun, so I don't really mind that, but I know a lot of people would have trouble setting this thing up. And it does take a lot of time, no matter how good you are at setups. You have to fold all of these separate ones, and getting these huge nail-like pieces through is kind of difficult. But other than that, there's not too many cons. I have heard of a lot of them kind of slowing down because of how heavy this motor or how heavy the pieces the motor is moving. But I have not had any issues with that, and I've ran them constantly for 2 years now. So I don't see that as a very consistent issue through all of the produced ones. So that may happen to some of them, but I don't think it's something to really worry about. Another con that's not really a big deal is I do wish at least some of them had hands that you could pose on the outside of these cars. I think that'd look really cool, but again, not a big deal, and that's kind of just a preference thing. All right, now pros and cons of both of these together. So I really love the clown dolls. These definitely get talked about a lot. People really find dolls scary and really find clowns scary. So combining that is really cool. And obviously, they're not going to make something like a Ferris wheel full size with 6-foot clowns. Not really possible yet, but they are still really cool at this scale and definitely, like I said, could be a centerpiece. They're also talked about a lot just because of how creepy they are, especially this one right here. Look at that. They have some pretty creepy faces, especially in the dark, and overall, definitely like the look of these. One con for all of these clown doll animatronics is the clothing, I would say. This is very similar to inflatable material or what you see on like the 15-foot Phantom or the 12-foot Witch. It's just that cheap, kind of more waterproof-ish look to it, which I guess would be good, but technically it's not really meant for outdoors. So you can tell it's cheap. It definitely looks cheap. Also, all of this clothing is not tight enough, so you see the collars, no matter how much you try to fix it, you see those screws or you see the plastic. So that's the main complaint I'd have for these. With him, it's not too big of a deal. Although it's the same quality clothing, you can't really tell as easily because they actually have it fitting there. I believe there's actually a lot of Velcros on his back, so you can make sure that looks really good around the neck and stuff so it doesn't expose any of the metal or plastic. One more pro I want to mention is how good their audio is. Both of them have loud speakers and it's very clear, and their music is great. I'm happy they actually went with a different music for the Tumbling Clown here, because all of the ones before that had the same audio track. But both of them, great speakers, very high quality, and definitely some loud sound. Alright, so now I'm going to do individual demos, starting with the Tumbling Clown, then moving to the Ferris Wheel, and then we will demo both together. Alright, now it's time to demo both together. Alright, so there they were, the Tumbling Clown versus the Haunted Ferris Wheel. Let me know which one you guys like better. For me, personally, I would say the Ferris Wheel is my favorite. I think it wins in most categories, especially that detail category. This thing is awesome. They put so much work into the design of this thing. I love it. But yeah, let me know which one you guys prefer. Also, the clown go around as well. Although that one is low quality, it still looks really, really cool. But overall, I love the series. I think the small clown dolls is such a cool and creepy thing, and they definitely get a lot of compliments in the haunt. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you want to see more of this series, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.